Hi, everyone. I am so excited to have the first live interview with Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, who goes live very often on his Twitch, but here speaking to you after his big promotion. So tell me first, how has that transition been? You're president for a while, now you're running the thing. What's different about that?
So, and first of all, it's great to be here, Sarah. It's fun to be here, and as you said, it is, one thing I do is live stream now, and now I have people out here, and so it's great. So the one thing I've said a few times that I find kind of funny is, before my job was president, and much of the company I was responsible for it, so many of the decisions were the same, but there really is a very visceral difference between feeling that responsibility as CEO. Our platform, we have over 7 million streamers that depend upon us stream every month. And I feel this kind of realization that ultimately in terms of my job, they depend upon me and how I do my job. But it's been really fun.
And tell me how strongly you got that feedback. When you became CEO, it was just after this change in terms of how Twitch was thinking about revenue split with the creators. There was a big blowback. We're seeing a lot of tension right now between social media platforms and their users.
Yeah.
So you're in the thick of it. What's that like?
So we're in the thick of it, and part of it is we matter a lot to our creators. I think Twitch is very unique. I think we're different than many of the other players. And for many of our creators, we're a big part of their lives. They're living a life that they never thought they could have lived, right? And I go out and talk to them and they go, yeah, I never thought this could be my life.
They're making a living streaming themselves playing video games. And
doing other stuff. And they're like, who'd have thought this could have been? And so it matters to them. And so then they keep a very close eye on us. And I think their response is actually an expression of how much we matter to them.
But you did have to make some changes based on that response. Like, how do you navigate? Because you're CEO of Twitch, but you answer to Amazon. And how do you navigate continuing to grow this community, continuing to have that kind of path to profitability? Am I correct that Twitch is not yet profitable?
We don't talk about that. So
but
you're not going to get me to answer here. Good try, though, Sarah.
A decade past that, since the acquisition by Amazon, I mean, you must be feeling some pressure on that end too. And how do you balance the two?
So the way I think of this is, we do have a responsibility to our creators to make sure we're here for a very long time. And so yes, the way I describe it is we need to make sure we're a sustainable business. And that is serving what we're trying to do with them. And so I think anyone who's been in any position, you're always balancing things. The hard decisions are never the ones that are obvious. The hard decisions are when you're weighing a bunch of different things and you have to figure out a path.
I want to get your thoughts on some other hard decisions that we've seen leaders of social media platforms make recently. I mean, there was the backlash over changes at Reddit that caused a strike by several communities. There's been a lot of uproar about changes at Twitter since Elon Musk took over. Instagram's algorithm has been changing. Meta's been changing, pivoting more to video and entertainment than updates from friends and family. What have you learned from looking at that, the difference in those communities and how they've grown, and how does it make you want to grow?
So I think each of those communities are different. I think everyone here knows what it's like to live in a social media world where there's always very vocal critics of almost anything. So part of what you need to do is understand a North Star of where you're going. And for us, our North Star is thinking about the streamers that come on our platform in terms of, we use this phrase, fame, money, and love, because we've used that since the founding. We're really a big part of what happens on Twitch is they build communities, and then from that community, they can make money and sustain themselves. And so I think you just go back to your mission, and then you just realize if you stay true to that and you keep pushing, then I think you get there.
But there's always a tension. You're asking people to do this to make a living off of it, but then you also need to run a business. And you're saying running a business is also good for them. How do you communicate? In one way, I think that you do this is by using the platform yourself and seeing how it works. How do you build that rapport with the users and get them to trust that you're taking this in the right direction?
I mean, for us, trust is a big deal, and I think, in fact, that's one of the things that I'm mostly focused on. I don't think people trust people. They don't necessarily always trust companies. I think that's naturally the way we are. We depend upon our streamers, so I've been spending a lot of time going on. In fact, last night I was in LA in a dinner we had with about 40 of our strongest streamers. I'm going to Denver next week where I'm spending time with them. So I've really been doing two things. One is going around and physically spending time with them because it's that direct connection where you can hear from them. And then the other thing, as you said, is using the product. So, I started streaming every week, and it's a small stream. And so it's really neat because a lot of people come up on the stream, and then I let them come up on my stream. We have a new feature guest star where I can bring audience members up. And they just, and many times these are small streamers. I play the piano and sing, I play the piano and sing, and then I also talk to them. And I talk to them about their experiences on Twitch. And they just love the fact that they're coming up on the CEOs of Twitch stream and that I'm interacting with them. And they all have small communities. I haven't promoted this. It's, I'll have 100, 150 people at any point in time, 1,500 people in a night. And I think that really gives you a very firsthand, visceral feeling for what so many of our streamers, because we have really big streamers, but so many of our streamers are there streaming to 50, 100, 200 people at any point in time.
I mean, speaking of the visceral feeling of being a streamer, there are the audience pressures that they're getting. There's the hate they may be getting. Are you thinking about, now that you've been doing it, ways to make Twitch a better community from that perspective? From a content moderation perspective, what are you working on there?
I think one of Twitch's, and for those who haven't used Twitch, and I'm going to bet there are a number of people in this audience that haven't used Twitch, a big part of the magic is the fact that it's not just about sitting and watching somebody. It's about the community and the chat and the interaction. And the way I often describe it, I'll go back to an old sitcom, is Cheers used to have this phrase, a bar where everybody knows your name. Well, when people come to Twitch, they're a member of 8, 9, 10 communities where everybody knows their name. And they show up and they say, been a Vixen, where have you been? But a huge part of that is feeling safe when you're in that community. Because as we know in the social media world, there are always people that are out there that are gonna start jumping in and saying all sorts of things. So we spend a ton of time, first of all, building moderation tools to help our creators. And then we also have moderators that are dedicated members of the community that go ahead and control and manage what's said. So that's something that happens on my stream, it happens on every stream. And we're continually looking for ways so that way you can clean up, because nobody wants to be there if it's getting...
How does AI change the potential for content moderation? Do you think it has enough, has it gotten to the point where it can understand when somebody's being awful on the internet?
Yeah, so we use AI to help us with our system called Automod. I think that's one of our strengths. I think actually it's still a testament of how, for all that AI has done, how there's still work to do, because it can detect a fair amount of stuff, but there's a lot of subtle stuff that humans detect that AI doesn't. So we actually use a combination where we use AI and automated techniques, but then we use humans because it's really a combination. We certainly are continuing to invest, because I think over time, AI will get better and better at understanding context and understanding nuances.
Because right now it's more supplementary. You still have to have people who know.
I was streaming, and somebody said something. I love the way you finger the keys, and they are honestly talking about me playing piano. Okay, but the AI said, "Oh, this is a little suspect," right? And of course, it was completely okay. And the moderator looked at it and passed it through, but it popped up on mine to say, is that okay, right? And so it's just an example that there's just these very subtle nuances right? That as humans, we're able to look at something and realize it right away.
So in your world, you're watching people build communities through their creativity, through their expression. We just had a panel about how AI is transforming art, how it's changing what kind of content we will likely consume in the future. How are you seeing AI change what gets streamed, and can it ever be a part of that community aspect of Twitch?
Yeah, so most of y'all probably aren't aware of this. There's this very interesting live channel that popped up called Never Forever, which was an animated, never-ending Seinfeld episode where they trained it on Seinfeld, and they had these characters that were telling jokes in Seinfeld, and it was quite entertaining. Now, the interesting thing was they eventually violated our community guidelines because that's just the nature of it, right? And so we had to figure out, well, how do you deal with that? But while it was really cool and neat, it's not what makes Twitch magical, because it's the emotional connection with the streamer. So there are all sorts of things. There's some generative AI where people are doing interviews when they acknowledge that this is really, an artificial interview that I think is creative, but I think the foundation is still the human connection. And I know Jason's coming up next, and we're talking about with Discord. The interesting thing is Twitch and Discord are both these testaments of, in the end, as human beings, what we are designed to do is create human connection. That is what we evolved to do. That is what happens on Twitch. That is what happens on Discord. And I don't think it is the same in terms of AI in the middle of that. So I think the foundation of Twitch is still always going to be about human connection.
Give us a sense of how strong that connection can get. Give an example of some of your biggest streamers, and how much are they making? How much are they building on Twitch?
Yeah. So I think really what happens on Twitch is they're all sizes of streamers. Okay. So there are some streamers that will have 20 or 25,000. So if you take Hassan Abi, he'll get a large audience. And it's a very different experience. When you go there and you watch his chat, it's just flying by because, sometimes we talk about it as a stadium experience. But then you have all these creators that then maybe have 500 or 600 at any point in time, okay, or 100 or 200. And so I think you see the gamut. But I think for me, the magic of Twitch are all the smaller communities. We see this in our monetization, where a big part of our monetization is direct support from the community. And you see how they're much more efficient when they're a smaller community because you have that emotional connection. And so, in fact, per person that's watching, it's much more efficient because of that. So I think really the magic of the fact
it's not about being a big streamer. It's about
the whole
building the people who are obsessed with what you're doing.
And it may be that there may be one big streamer that everyone watches, but anyone who uses Twitch also watches a lot of medium and smaller streamers.
We have a question from the audience. How are you seeing creators adopt Gen AI? You talked about the Seinfeld episode example, but are they incorporating it into their streaming work?
Yeah, I think that is the way. I used the concrete example where somebody was doing these synthetic interviews, right? And now they acknowledged they were synthetic interviews, but it was using generative AI, and they were interviewing other Twitch streamers hypothetically. Right? And so I think it is kind of interesting from a creative perspective how it can enhance the creative expression of our creators.
We don't have a lot of time left, so I want to talk to you about growth. How does Twitch grow from here? Because I was looking at the numbers, and it looked like you guys had a really great amount of interest during the pandemic when everyone was home and on their computers without other ways to interact socially. But now it's sort of plateaued. How do you reinvigorate that growth? Do you need to expand beyond gaming? Do you need to build more of those small communities that you were talking about?
Yeah.
How long will it take?
So during COVID, one of the things to me, it demonstrated that there are still all sorts of people we hadn't reached yet, because there are all these people that had some extra free time and they use Twitch. And while we did come back a little bit, still many of those people are still using Twitch. They hadn't experienced Twitch. And part of it is when you experience Twitch, it starts with you getting attached to one creator. Okay, the stars are the creators, not the platform. Okay, so we absolutely, you talked about going outside of gaming. The way I describe our platform is we've always been a talk platform. It just so happened that people have been gaming while they talk, okay? And now about 30% of our hours watched come from people that aren't gaming while they talk, okay? And we're investing in other ways that people can come on, build communities. I'm the quintessential example of that, right? Because that need for connection is a human need. It's not a gaming need. Gaming does work really well for live streaming, okay? But I think ultimately our growth is foundation on finding how can we unlock more creators and more streamers. So today we have 7 million people who might stream in a month. How do we turn that to 20 million? Because that's the foundation of drives our success.
And setting that example as a CEO helps move the needle in your mind.
Well, actually, it doesn't necessarily move that needle, right? What it does is gives me a very visceral feeling for what they're experiencing. So then as I'm making decisions, as I'm engaging, and it also makes them trust me because they see me out there experiencing them. When I go talk to them, I can talk about their experiences.
Not replaceable by AI. Thank you so much, Dan.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.